Hello. Just to explain my name, it's a little bit complicated. The name Bjarne means it's old Nordic language for bear, the animal. Berg is a mountain, and Vik is the bottom of the fjord. You know, if you have seen the map of Norway, there's a lot of fjords. And the people that lived in the bottom of the fjord, were called Viking. So the name Vik comes from the people that lived in the bottom of the fjord. I'm not a Viking because that was a long time ago. I have been, my background is actually, I was, the first 20 years, I was working in different industries in Norway, chemical industry, mechanical industry, different companies. And then I started as a consultant for 10 years, doing consulting of management. I stopped doing that because I was responding to the customer, what the customer asked me to do, not what their real needs. Because the problem was the system, and the system belonged to the top management. So then I started teaching quality and lean and system thinking together with the guy who comes there, Manuel. We have been working with teaching this stuff for about between 10 and 14 years, actually. And the last years, we have tried to develop a new way of teaching. And this is what I will try to present to you. So we have called it the workplace as a primary campus. This is seen from the point of these four lenses of Dr. Deming. But we have seen it in the perspective of Norway and the European problems, and maybe they will be similar to problems here in America, but they be also possible that there's some differences. So the background, I will tell you a little bit about the background, and then I will talk about the system, seen in the system lens. I will talk about the three bearing of a new way of thinking of continuous learning at the workplace, adult learning. After people are finished university, college, what's happened then? And then some of the key learnings that Manuel and me has gained. And then we are launching now a new pilot. We called it the Learning Organization Study in the Bergen University College from this year. I'll talk about this, and maybe if I reach it, I will tell what I'm thinking about this system in the year 2020, how it will look like. So this is background from the Bergen University College. We have a huge, big research program in Europe initiated by the European Union called Learning Layers. We have a Scandinavian program we call ScanComp, Scandinavian Competence Development Program, which I will tell about, and then the new pilot. So if you take the system lens of Deming and look at the performance of the adult learning system in Europe, it shows that almost 90% of the employees has no access to formal education. That means only 10% of the workforce has access to formal continuous education in Europe. That is a terrible performance of a system. The second is that it's a very important figure is that almost 70% of all enterprises in Europe are smaller than 5 employees. This is a normal work. People work outside the municipals. It's small companies. This is the European Union figures, 67%. And the European Union has a target that this shows that 40% of the people needs higher education in 2020, 40%. That is university degrees, master degrees, doctor degrees. But the problem is that the dropout rate is between 30 and 70%. Some European countries, that's 70% of the students, they drop out from the school. So if we conclude in one word, this adult learning system in Europe sucks. Actually, it doesn't work. It is totally outdated. So what is the problem? Is that you have the delivery, as I mentioned, the waste. It's a lot of waste. It's waiting, transport, absence for work. It's very, very push-based, old-fashioned, resource-effective system, not based on flow. It's outdated competence to job that actually disappears. So when you go out to the university or the college, you are learning something that in many, many cases are outdated competence. And not to mention that the teachers are falling apart. So they are very frustrated because they have normally very little access to what is going on in the new industries. So, and the mental model is also totally outdated. So the mental model is learning belongs to schools. We go to school. This is the thinking of the past. Work is efficiency. You do what you are told to do. And training is seen as a cost, not as an investment. This is a normal thinking in many, many schools and companies around Europe. So what we need is actually to transform this. We have to have a pull-based organizational learning system. And this is what we are going to we are actually developing this system, and it's based on 3 bearings. It's like a chair with 3 legs. And all those 3 legs are necessary. Without them, everything will fall apart. The first leg is actually, we have to go from push to pull-based learning. So we have adapt the lean and the flow-based thinking to the learning. The second leg is we have to move the learning from the university or the campus, the college campus, from the physical school out to the workplace. This is the second leg. And the third is to apply system leadership, Deming philosophy of leadership. So you see, all those 3 legs are interacting. The first one is, what is lean learning? It's what you need, when you need it, how you need it, without any loss of resources. That means when you have a problem in the workplace, or you have to invent something, you start to ticking, you are staying in line and waiting for the competence. So we need to try to get the company campus combined with classroom and also net-based technology-enhanced learning. So what is a company campus? This is, has a flavor of what we are doing in Norway. The first is that we see now is working as, not work as efficiency, but work as a learning process. This is a shift of paradigm. And for instance, if you read the Harvard Business Review, there's a lot of articles from Amy Edmondson and other teachers about how the research, how the paradigm shift from seeing the work as a efficiency to the work as a continuous learning process. So this is a mental model. The second is learning from demanding customers. We have actually, in some regions in Norway, not in the coastline, up in the forest, in the mountain, 52% of all subsea industry in the world, 52% of the market for everything that is under the surface is based on companies in Norway. Those companies are developing not through traditional learning. It's very much learned from what is the customer are demanding and going for the mission impossible. The third point of company campus is the learning clusters in networks, because, as I mentioned, most companies are small. You cannot afford to have one manager or one worker to go to a school or to a theater. You have to totally redesign the way people learn, and that you have to do together. So we have a system in Norway supported by the government that promotes cluster and learning networks. The fourth is technology-enhanced learning. So we have to use this wonderful device that now every engineer doctor and nurse has. So why, if you are going to see how do you operate something, medical equipment or whatever, you can just take this device and slide it through a sign on the device and get contact with a professor or an expert all over the world. So this is making the process totally change the basis of competition. So technology and hands-on learning is important. And 3 parts of cooperation in Norway is based on cooperation between the government, the unions, which are containing of 52% of the population, and the industry. Very, very long-term strategic cooperation in the Nordic countries, especially Norway and Sweden and Denmark. The third leg is the system leadership. And that is actually long-term vision, purpose, system thinking, and as many speakers today have talked about, make a safe learning environment that Dr. Deming taught us. So how do we test these theories? The first we did was to test it out in an elderly care home in municipality in south of Norway called Larvik. And we defined what the learning needs for the health workers, how do we optimize the process, and we designed this plan, do, study, act research. And we said the problem is in, I guess in US and in Norway or Japan or all countries, people are getting older, and if people are getting older, you have to have technology that help people to live long in their own homes. You cannot afford to have them in elderly homes, not to afford them in a hospital because we don't have a budget for that. You need to help people to where people are living. And this is smart house technology. So we tested this out in this smart house technology and developed a learning program to how to apply this competence based on learning at the workplace. And the consequence was this kind of process. This is the company campus, practice, and net-based learning. And the doctors and the nurses said to us, finally a course that is on our level. The teachers listen to us and make the stuff fit to our own reality. We don't put them on a course far away. We put the technology and the learning out of the workplace. This was the first test we did. The second is that we have this big European program called Learning Layers. This program is have a test in 2 different clusters. One big construction cluster in Germany, different kind of construction areas. And the second is the healthcare system in UK, in Britain. And the biggest health system in Europe is in Britain. And this problem here was how to address this. And this is a kind of Deming way of thinking, how to address this as an entire system. You don't have to address it with the technology as such. You have to look at the maturing layer. How do you support learning at the workplace? How do you deal with the resistance of learning, the way, the culture of learning at the workplace, in the construction industry or in the healthcare industry? So this is a big research that you can, the link is in my paper, so you can get a lot of information from it. So the problem, how to connect the physical world to the digital world where people work. So it's very, very complicated, and that's work packages from different countries, and the responsible for the Norwegian part is to see how we can developing learning clusters to support learning in small and medium-sized enterprises. So this is a lesson learned through the last 10 years so far. The first is we have to challenge the mental model of learning. Away from the ISO thinking, away from the normal curriculum or the course plan, and the go-to-school thinking. We have to challenge the whole mental model and go to see learning as a dynamic system that we have to develop, according to what the previous speakers talked about. The second is lack of understanding in the traditional academic and governmental institutions. I have been having many meetings with professors about this, and then to see that we need to get the young people out to the workplace, to make learning clusters, to make the learning linked to the problems you have at the workplace, and also that. And I've seen some of the body language from the professors and the governmental people. It is called strong resistance. very hard. And I have not a very good kind of, how to say, behavior. Sometimes I say it smells like dinosaurs to me. And what we see from the workplace is that the academic institution has fantastic people, fantastic competence, but totally outdated management systems. I don't know if it's like this in the US, but in Europe it's really a change. But a lot of good people, and together with colleagues in the Bergen University College, we have reached to start with the best companies. We said we don't wait for those who don't want to do it. We start with the best companies. That could be a medical company, it could be the subsea company in oil business. We have hospitals, we have kindergartens, we have all kinds of industry in these programs. And those, they are really keen on getting this learning, see the workplace at the campus. And of course, the system leadership works. We change to making the new interaction and give it time. We don't say we are going to invent a new system. We don't say the old system sucks. I said that, but we don't say it very loud because we cannot change, because then we say that we fund a lot of people. The problem is we show the results with working with the best companies and the best municipals in Norway and also in Sweden. And we make 3 times win. It's win for the university, it's win for the student, and it's win for the company. And we have now a lot of students coming from Bergen University out to the big Statoil, the biggest oil company in Norway. It's rather big also in international scale. And the Statoil said this is very learning from us. We receive tens and hundreds of students coming out, working with us, and it's a win-win situation. So, finally, we go to what we are planning for the next 2-3 years. So we are working now with a new model based on what we have learned, and try to rotate the PDSA properly through a program on maybe 1.5 years from now. We start in the autumn. We have designed a plan with the stakeholders. We have made a Hoshin A3, this is what we are using, the Toyota planning system, to put up the target and then the policies, and then they break it down to activities. And then we have designed 3 modules. So the first one is, the program is 8 to 10 companies. This is 1 municipio, a kommune. I don't know if you use the name. It's a city. It's a middle-sized city in Norway. It's about 50,000 inhabitants. And they are working on child. We have the head of this child, how to say it in English? Child care. You know, you have children with that have problems with different complicated grow-up situations. And then if you don't do it very early, you get a problem with the people when they get 12, 13, 14 years. And it's very costly for the society, for the young people. And so this is going to be one of the pilots we are going to work on. Another pilot is the subsea industry. Subsea industry is putting a huge system on 3,000 meters below the surface. And that's very, very complicated engineering operations. So what is the link between the child care and the subsea industry is a lot of links, a lot of similarities. So we put those industries in the same program. And the same with the kindergarten, the same with the hospital, and also one big zoo in Norway, actually, is part of this program. Very interesting. What they have is system leaders. We know we need CEOs with the system thinking. Without, it's a waste of time. So we pick up those 8 to 10 leaders, men and women, to form a kind of stakeholder group. So they are the demanding customers of this program. And then we pick up the students that are experienced leaders from the Lean and Deming programs through many years. They are very, very good people put into this program. So, so this is what we are going to do the next year or so, starting up in November with the first program, and then we go. It takes about 1 year. And the program will be 3 modules. The first module is the system of profound knowledge. So how to gain, to learn how to gain knowledge for improvement and innovation in the companies. And they are working on the elderly care, the different kinds of processes in the different kinds of industries. But all are working and delivering this is the 5 credits part of the program. The second is process innovation. This is a breakthrough, how to totally renew the whole, renew a process. And there's working with a process in the subsea industry we call the knowledge-based product development. It's also based on the system thinking. So away from the gatekeeping product development system, much more interactive, flow-based, and visual managed learning system. How am I doing with the time? Ah. I speak too fast. Let me drink. So, to close this, what we see is actually some years from now, maybe more than 5 years, but this change will happen. Not because we have decided that it will happen, but it is a shift of way of thinking is going on all over the world, actually. So you can see it as a metamorphosis. So we see this, the pupae is where we are now, and out comes the butterfly. We don't know exactly how it would look like, but we know the way we think learning will be totally different. And if we don't do it in Europe, or maybe also here in the US, we will lose a whole generation of young people. And we will lose the momentum of innovation and renewal. And of course, maybe the most important is we need to develop a way of thinking, system thinking, not only seeing from the company point of view in Siemens and the different companies. We need to see it globally, because if we don't repair this disconnection with the nature, we are serving a lot of big problems to our next generations, actually. So we need, the system thinking is more than only making an improvement and learning culture in a company. So the first one result is actually, what we see is thousands of company campuses with own academy. New social win-win contract with the society. In Norway, it's based on our 3 cooperation model. I know that the unions are not so very important here in the US and maybe also many other countries. But in Norway, unions, organizations is a very, very important part of the whole social contract. And the unions, they don't fight the government all the time or the industry all the time. There's about strikes every 12 years or something. Because you have to adjust the system. It's like you have to improve yourself, your health condition, and then you have the strike, and then it goes on for some days, and then you have a new social contract. But the whole idea is that you have a social contract between the union, the industry, and the government. And this is contract on how people are going to be educated. And I have got a request from one of the biggest unions in Norway to write a book about how the unions can be an active part of making this company campus program. And also we have Bergen University, and Manuel and me, we had many of our students are sponsored by the unions. So they go get scholarship from the unions to go training in the Deming methodology. So this is maybe a little bit rare seen from other parts of the world, but this is a very important part of our way of thinking. But 2 years ago, I put up an A3, that is the Hoshin communication format. And the A3 was that 1 million Norwegian people should participate in continuous improvement activities every week. This is the Hoshin. And I said, how we do that is to make a virus. And the virus is the way to, to make spread the disease. It's a system thinking. And the virus is, what we are going to do is actually to make this beautiful example of how we can change the way we learn at the workplace. The second part is we have to remove the waste and enhance the efficiency in the learning processes, both in the university colleges and universities and in the industry and the interaction between. Because we don't, of course, we are dependent on strong universities, strong research, scientific environment, but we need to make it another more dynamic interaction between those two. We should make the reality into the university and the university out to the reality. The third part is to take technology-enhanced learning. So we see that in the future, every worker, engineer, healthcare worker will use this device to support the learning. And I had one guy ask me how I have problems. We do welding in the Arctic in Norway. You know, we have oil exploration in very, very rough areas. And then you do welding on 100 meters in very cold water. And the special mineral content of the water. So he said, well, I need a problem. I need competence on how to do welding on cold water in the Arctic areas. And he said that you can then in the future go on this device, contact a professor in Canada, and communicate directly with her or him about this problem. This is the future. So this technology-enhanced learning is a very important part of this transformation. And the last part is maybe the most important, is to develop thousands of learning organization leaders, future system thinkers. And maybe we can be the, give a birth to this process. We can make the framework for those. But those who come after us, I have two sons, one in 28 and one 30 years old, so, and they are much brighter in the head than me. Both are in a doctor degree program. And I see those guys and their friends, and this generation is fantastic. But part of that generation is had huge problems. So I think we have to give the birth and spread this positive virus, or fertilize, whatever, with true system thinkers. So this could be the most important benefit of this transformation of the learning at the workplace. Almost lunch. Did I make myself understand? Okay. Questions?
There's 5 minutes for questions. You have 5 more minutes.
Okay.
I'm just curious, what % of the population are you going to be
this pilot?
Well, no, I mean, you got the 2020 goal. Are you looking at what % of the population in Norway are you going to?
Yeah, if you take 1 million people,
Use the microphone, please. Use the microphone.
oh, sorry. I don't know exact percentage, but 1 million people participating in continuous learning activities every week is about, we are about 5 million people now in total in Norway. So 1 million employees. That means that is a major trend. I don't know exact the percentage, but this is the size in 2020. This is our goal. Other questions?
How does your program fit in with the existing apprentice systems? Is there any interaction?
Actually, we have, it fits very well into this program. And then I have a discussion with an employer organization about this. And they are thinking to try to link this system to further development of this. We have huge support of this kind of education in the Scandinavian countries, but still they are too few. So we need to reach out to much more young people. Was that a? Yeah.
Okay, I have two questions. First of all, you were saying that the government promotes this learning transformation. So, to what extent does the government have any incentives, or are there any barriers to the learning transformation, or maybe incentives like tax incentives to businesses to do this? How is government facilitating this?
We have incentive, but too little at the moment, because what the government's mental model is. When I would discuss with the government, I say that you need support for a course. Here is a course. A curriculum and university development of this kind of course. So they are into the old mental model. So we say that we are going to move the learning process and apply lean thinking, a continuous learning flow out to the workplace. We have some problems to communicate it. But we have some support of this pilot, and hopefully we'll get more. This is Norway. In the European Union, they see that this is a huge structural problem, because if you see, for instance, in Spain, the dropout rate is about 60–70%. And if you don't do something radical about this, we lose the whole generation of young people. So they have put up large support for this kind of program as a learning layers. It's a big program. So the European Union is actually very active in supporting this kind of transformation.
I have a second question, if I may. The learning system leaders, CEOs, to what extent do you plan for them to be involved? Are they going to just announce to their company, okay, we want everybody to get involved in this learning, or to what extent are they going to be involved?
No, we start the learning process with them. Okay. Because we define for each of those models in the program, they will define their own expectations, what they need. And they have to also make a contract of their own contribution. Because there's no such thing, I don't want to, I'm ordering some courses or some professor from Bjarne or Manuel or Kelly. No. They have to be very active, because this is a part of the whole transformation. Because they are the learning leaders. They are learning system leaders. So they have to define what kind of features, what kinds of expectation linked to their long-term purpose do they have, seeing their company as a campus. So they are in. But of course, the students are they are doing more practical work in the project they are going to perform, actually. Yeah? Other questions? Oh, please.
I'm from Canada, and in some of the provinces, it seems that the dropout rate is much higher in boys than in girls. Are you seeing the same thing?
Yeah, actually it's the same tendency in Europe. I don't know how the exact numbers, but many boys are dropping out, more than girls. So the same tendency in the most European countries as in Canada. It's actually Canada and Europe are very more similar than Canada and United States, actually, because of some cultural differences seen from the north of Norway. Positive and negative, of course. Yeah? Please?
You mentioned ISO and departure from that. I guess in a very complex process-oriented environment, how do you get away from
No,
that?
the problem with the, it's nothing wrong with the ISO.
Oh.
It's a problem with the how do you apply the ISO. You know, Europe is very bureaucratic in their thinking, how they thinking administration. And actually we invented the bureaucracy. And ISO certification programs, reviews, everything is very bureaucratic in many, many countries. So we have to go away from this to be much more dynamic. But of course we can use even ISO framework for this, but in a very learning, plan, do, study, act way, not seeing as applying to standard procedures. This is
But you still need standards, but you...
absolute, of course.
All right, just want to make sure.
Of course we need. But you need to do them dynamic. So this is a standard 1 and then standard 2 and standard 3. You have to develop your standards continuously through the learning process. So, please.
Yes, just one. I wanted to ask if I understand the universal strength and power of the system of profound knowledge, but as a matter of approach, I wanted to know if you were trying to do some type of Norse version of it, or in some way, some adaptation to the culture of those who are going to receive that system.
Yeah, we have to do that, and also every country has to do it, because we see that in Norway we have a lot of American companies, especially in the oil industry, and some, of course, also in the high-tech and IT industry. And some of those companies are very, very structured and very measurement-oriented companies. And in some of those companies are management by fear. We see that this is so we have to adapt the best management tradition in US, not the worst. But the difference in the management style in Norway is very linked to, you know, if you see how people build boats in this Viking period, you have very few people. It's very cold, so you don't can afford a huge bureaucratic organization. You just have to do the work. So I think the work culture in Norway is very informal and very unbureaucratic. So we have to do it in our way, and also this cooperation with the union, as I told about. Actually, we have if you look at the shipyard in Norway, it's very little standardized. Very little standardized. So very few standard operation procedures. Of course, we have, according to the technical standards and all how to build a ship, but you see the work process is very little standardized. But it's still, it moves very well, actually. Yeah, thank you.